Everyone, welcome to today's Let's Talk Dairy. Today we're joined. I'm replacing James Dunn today, who's unavailable. Who will be back in the hot seat next week. So my own name is Patrick Gowing, and we're joined today by Eugene Lawler, who's just going to go through a few bits and pieces from the spring and the plans over the next month or two. So Eugene, just where are you farming yourself, or maybe a bit of a background on what you're doing?
We're farming in South Kildare.
Yeah, and who are you farming on your own, or your son is with you, Eugene, isn't it?
Owen is here, and I suppose my wife Patricia needs it. Everyone gets dragged in when they're needed, especially around calving time or if something else is going on. But usually it's myself and Owen. Yeah.
Lovely. And how big is the farm, or how the hectare size of the milking platform, or
we have 48 hectares on the grazing platform, and we have another 20 hectares then that's an outblock that we use for 3 foot of silage and maybe a bit of zero grazing depending on the growth of the year.
Lovely. And how many cows currently are you milking, Eugene?
Well, we have 150 at the moment. Last year was 142. We carried a few extra and a couple of heifers, but they'll all be going in the next few. Patrick, we'll get back to it down to a figure of somewhere between 140 and 145. A couple of cows get shook over the winter. Maybe something goes wrong with a heifer or whatever. So we just straighten them out and sell them. We won't be carrying them on the farm like we try. We have a problem here with a dry farm, so we try and make bales instead of carrying them particular cows.
Lovely stuff. And just from, I suppose, how are you getting on at the moment? And then I'll bring in John Douglas there in a second, just with the current situation. But how are you getting on yourself in the last week or that, with the way the weather is, or how are things faring out? Plenty of tea and drink.
Sure, look, it was a challenge. Like February was a dream, and March was okay too. In fairness, most of it we missed very few days. The cows were out. I think we only missed a couple of days. So and look, there was a bit of on-off grazing as well when it was needed and silage in the diet, but that was all gone until yesterday. And look, they'll be back out again today.
So you just had to house them yesterday, or just yesterday, and they'll be back again?
Yeah. They'll be back out again today. It's important, God, at this time of the year to keep grass in the diet. The winter is long enough. Like, you look at some other lads and they're talking about having a 6-month winter, and sure, we had cows out until early December, and they're out now again, and we've no fear of leaving them out, but the reality has to come into the situation every now and again too.
Lovely. And you started into your second round now, or are you far into it?
Yeah, no, we started our second round about a week ago. I'd say it was the best year we've had this year, from sticking to the plan and the plan working out, and whether or not messing us up. We had one paddock left over from round one, about 10 days or whatever. It got, last Saturday week when it got off the wet, and it was a paddock that was heavy, so we didn't let them out. We went into one paddock for the start of round two. As soon as we dry, we went back in and mopped that one back out. So it's probably been the best year from the point of view of sticking to the plan so far.
Just how are the cows going from a milking point of view there at the moment? Like, so
probably again, EBI is coming through now. We focused on it for after our first year, and realised what the importance, how important it was in our situation here. They're doing 27.37 litres at the moment. They're doing a butter fat of 4.61 and protein of 3.47. Our cell count is 48 at the moment. We've been able to keep that fairly well under control as well. And the lactose is 4.86, and they are on 4 kilos a meal, 2 morning and 2 in the evening as well. But we're very happy. And when the weather was looking to be bad in the last few days, we went into paddocks that made a bit of a mess out last year, clover paddocks, and we got caught with wet weather, and then they got too strong. So instead of that happening this year, we went in when they were a bit lighter, but at the same time we got them grazed out perfectly, and it's shown in the cows and shown in the milk and in the protein in the milk. That ground we seeded that a couple of years ago. We missed out. We were going to do it in 20, and we didn't do it because of the drought. So we did it in 21. It established in 21. Gave us a great hit of grass last year. look, you have to learn how to manage it slightly different. When we learned a few lessons last May, we made a couple of mistakes last May, which we didn't make this year so far. Probably happened sometime, but
It's not me yet, Eugene. So you have time to make a mistake.
well,
Yeah.
that won't happen this year. Something else will happen. That one won't happen.
I think you skipped over the cell count there very quick at 46. That's excellent, considering the wet conditions. So you do that in particular?
88. The cell count is 88.
88, sorry, still not so bad either. Are you doing that in particular to maintain that, or what do you put that success down to?
Not really. I suppose we would cull some of the high cell count cows, and that's how we're part of what we're managing our numbers there. You know what I mean, with the milk report and how we pull out anything that has been in a bit of bother there over the winter. There's John Douglas now.
Yeah, he's joining in there again. Lovely. Can you hear us there now, John?
Yeah, you may take me now, Pasture, before I drop signal again.
That's no bother, John. So I'll just share there, John. So John, we're just after going through Eugene's stuff there and how he's getting on. So you might just give us a little bit of an update there on what's going on in pasture around the country and with pasture base. So I'm sharing there.
Yeah, I see it there. Yeah. So yeah, look, as Eugene was saying there, conditions are very challenging around the country. And Eugene, I know Eugene's farm well. It's a relatively dry farm. It burns up very quick in the summertime. So, and even he is finding it challenging at the moment to keep cows out, and it's on-off grazing. So, if you're looking at the rest of the country, and particularly heavy soils and areas that have got a lot of rainfall, not even just the west, the east has got a lot of rainfall this week as well, and it's on-off grazing to keep grass in the diet at least once per day. That's what we're advising. To try your best to do that. It's becoming maybe a little bit frustrating. I know that, because it's like every day. It seems to be every day, and it's we're getting a bit of wet rain, then we're getting it's drying up, and then rain again. So it can be frustrating, but the important thing is just to keep going. And I suppose the big thing is the forecast for the next week. Like, temperatures are looking up well into the double figures by the weekend, and a lot of sunshine in the forecast for next week, Pat. So I would just wait a few more days, and I think things will turn. Growth rates will pick up dramatically next week with the lift in temperatures as well. So people have to be ready for that to sort of pull out everything and go hard grazing. And one of the ways you do that is you measure your farm every week, and you also have to go out and walk the paddocks maybe every day or every second day to see where it's good for grazing, because a couple of hours sunshine this time of year can do a lot of drying. So get out and be proactive and see where you can graze, and that would be one of the big lessons I've learned from all farms across the last month, how quickly things have dried out. So they would be my messages, I suppose, for the week ahead, Pat.
Very good. And as you said, they're just on the Grass10 newsletter is out there, and they are predicting a jump in growth for next week. So the situation could change. And Eugene, you've probably seen that a lot in the past, like that it goes from 0 to hero all of a shot.
Well, that's what I was saying to a minute ago for John. To me, like that's what caused in the clover paddocks last year. So I would be very focused on going into them paddocks at a lighter cover, keeping an eye on the weather forecast all the time. And if I think it's not right, the paddocks like that, we just go in and take them out earlier, because the lesson last year was we didn't go in on time.
Yeah, and just
big heavy covers on it.
Just on from a fertilizer point of view, Eugene, what way are you going? We'll take the grazing platform first. What have you done so far, and what's the plan for the next round?
Yeah, well, we've had 2 spreads so far, and there's been 28 units has went out twice. So we'll start to follow the paddocks now next. We have some fertilizer still left here from the tail end of last year. And when that's gone, then we'll still go. We spread urea, we spread protected urea with sulfur. Okay. The farm has all got 2,500 gallons of slurry as well. The silage ground has been something similar. It's got 2,500 gallons of slurry. 2 bags of 0730 and 2 bags of urea. That all went out in the last week or 10 days.
Very good. And you see if you're full split of nitrogen out for the silage ground, so that's good. And when would you normally hope to cut the silage, Eugene?
Around the 20th of May. We were maybe 5 or 6 days later, 24th, 5th, 6th of May, but we're going to try and get in a week earlier because of drought, and see if we can enough cover in for the second cut of silage, because a couple of years we got caught there that there wasn't enough cover before the dryness came in. We feel if we had a bit of grass there that, you know, we keep the ground and keep a bit more moisture. So that's the plan for this year and see how it goes.
Yeah. I just said the spring is obviously the calving season. You're finished calving, Eugene, are you?
Yeah. We started calving. We were supposed to start calving. We arrived on the 25th of April last year. We should have started calving on the 3rd of February. We started around the 21st or 2nd of January. There was definitely 10 days early. We finished calving on the 27th of March. We had over 90% calved in the 6-week period, but it was heavy going for 6 weeks now, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And
heavy going and you know, trying to deal with calves then as well. And, anyway, so for now for another year.
And how did you get on with the surplus cows? I know this year you or did you do anything different from the breeding point of view?
Well, we had no surplus heifers, so we just had enough heifers, and we used sex semen last year. So we just had enough. We one heifer left over, and Owen sold it to a friend of his who's going dairy next year. He would have liked to keep it because it was a good cow, and that's she was AI'd later with a Frisian straw. And yeah, long story short, we had enough. We used a Hereford bull mostly last year, and we sold them. A lot of them we sold them at home around somewhere between 150 and 200 euros at a couple of weeks of age. Trying to keep them moving. There was a few days, bits and pieces, stragglers went to the mart. Few Frisian bulls out of the cows that we used semen on the heifers. We used conventional straws on the Frisian cows, and them Frisian bulls went to the mart, and they went anywhere from 25 to 75 euros. And
for the upcoming breeding season, Eugene, are you doing anything different, or is the plan to stick the same? Or
well, something similar, Patrick. We're still going to go with sex semen on the heifers. We'll use conventional straws on some of the Frisian cows, some of the better Frisian cows, and then we've already selected 2 Angus bulls. I think their codes is 4088 and 4089. I think that's what the codes are. I was looking up, and they're 2 Angus bulls that have a high DBI or better carcass weight. So that's where we're going to go with them. And they have a shorter lactation than, or gestation, like a shorter gestation than the Hereford as well, which maybe is a little bit easier on the cow. So that's.
And when you
no major changes, we're going to go with the same day, Patrick. Well.
Yeah, sorry. When you say you're putting sex on the heifers, are you doing a sync protocol there, or what are you doing? Or?
Yeah, the prids and are going in. They're synchronized last year. The heifers were AI'd on the bank holiday Monday morning at 8 o'clock, and that's
tough, man.
When they were, we had a great hit with the heifers. We had a great hit with the heifers, I have to say. Yeah, well, one of them shouldn't go drinking on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Great hit with the heifers. You know, the calves almost slapped. There's a lot of heifer calves born, which was good from our point of view as well. So
very good. Do you remember the conception rate, or to the things? Was it over 50%, or?
It was over 60%.
Very good.
Patrick, tell you the truth, like it's a serious hit with them. But the heifers were done with a heifer rear, and they were extremely good individuals who were rearing them, and their live weight gains were above they were above the targets. The heifers were very well done. They weren't fat heifers. There was a lot of attention paid to them. They were good sized heifers. They were good growthy heifers. They were quite as lambs when they came back to us here. Easy to manage on the farm. We trained them in the parlour during the drying off period, and it was the easiest year we've ever had with them. And they were credit to the people around now, I have to say.
Excellent. It makes an awful difference when I think just for sometimes there's the sync protocols on heifers, and a lot of people are looking at sex semen this year. If the heifer isn't right, putting in seeders and a sync protocol on sex semen is not the answer. No. The trick is to have the heifer right.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, we on the farm here, all we have, and look, it's the simple system we use. We just milk the cows, and that's it. The heifer calves go to the heifer rear. All the beef calves and bull calves, they always go out of place. And the people do an excellent job.
It's very good.
On the heifers, and they're ahead of target all the time. They weigh 3 or 4 times. Everything is done. They're all, as I said about the sheep, dipped off and vaccinated. Everything is done with the heifers. You know, they're all vaccinated properly, and there's a lot of money spent on that now. IBR, BVD, lepto salmon. You know, there's a lot of money spent on that. But the proof of the pudding was the amount of quality EBI heifer calves that we have no farm this year. Don't ask what the figure is, but I know it's high.
That's good. And yeah, I think you made a very important point there too, Eugene. Like you're selecting heavily on your cows now to, you know, you're only putting dairy genetics on good cows rather than every cow. I think, which is also a very important thing going forward to make genetic progress.
Well, I suppose when we started this journey 11 years ago, this is our 9th year making. The first year we just wanted to get them back in calf, and then it became very obvious that, you know, EBI was the way to go, and we just started concentrating on it, and that was then to get a pool of better cows together. And we were also driving numbers forward. Like, we started with 82 cows, and we ended up at 159 or something, and so then it gave us the pool out of which we could really target our replacements. And, you know, we dropped 10 or 11% of cows last year, or sorry, the year before last, and we dropped the cow numbers, but we increased our solids by 50 kilos of solids, Patrick. That came down to the pure EBI of our cows, and the cows were probably under a certain amount of pressure. Not, you know, the other, how would I say this? We got rid of the late calvers, any cell counts, any lame cows, any passengers, which meant there was a bit more flexibility for the cows who were in the herd to reach their potential. So we went from 460 kilos about to 510 kilos mixed solids last year.
So you dropped from 159 in 2021 to 142, so 17 cows. But your performance went up by 50 kilos. So you actually more or less sold slightly more milk with less cows.
5,000 litres more milk, yeah.
And why do you think
within that 5,000 litres? I'd say the cows weren't reaching their genetic ability, their EBI, because we were just pinching them, and we were also diluting. You know, you were diluting what they were doing by carrying passengers as well. So some of them cows were probably doing 480 or 90 maybe already, but then you had others doing 400, the bottom 10 or 11% or whatever they were. So it was a little bit of everything. But even getting rid of them cows, it gave us the ability to make bales, paddock bales, you know, to have them last July and August when the pinch came again, that every other year we wouldn't have. Like, you look at them 16 or 17 cows, what they would have been eating for May and June, and to have that in bales for July and August when it was wanted was very important. So that meant there was more quality stuff for the cows that had the ability to produce of it. Maybe a bit of luck as well.
No, it's all science here. Yeah, so it's probably coming back to that. You mentioned you're a very dry farm, and you know you're getting them pinch points, and I suppose if weather patterns were different or that, and the farm was able to grow more grass, potentially then you mightn't have looked at the rejigging it, but you're probably just trying to match the stocking rate to the potential of the farm to what it can grow, and then have good quality cows on that.
That's exactly what we were trying to achieve on this farm, you know, and every farm is different. So we're trying to want to work on our farm, and that's why we go for a calving date of around the first few days of February. We're trying to reach just maximum milk production at maximum grass growth rate to peak everything at the one time, and that's what we're trying to do here. So, like, if we cows calving much earlier, with some lads doing the suits their farming and they make, you know, want to feed silage or whatever, but then in our farm here we'd find that cows had peaked before the grass had peaked, and And that's not what we want to try and do. We want to try and keep the silage out of the equation and the meal out of the equation and get as much grass into the system as we can. And now focusing on producing that grass with less fertilizer and trying to get a bit more clover into the job as well. So
yeah, excellent. And like we mentioned already, or you said like you grew about how much grass did you grow last year? You're in a grass group with John Douglas. I know John had to tip off there now, but for the last 6 years. So what did the farm grow last year?
It grew 12 ton last year, and we had a dry period. Like we missed a couple of rotations in July and August. It had the potential to grow between 13 and 14 ton. In 21, it grew 13 ton of grass, and the clover wasn't even coming into the same. It was only getting established, and we had 2.5 paddocks out in 21 because we didn't do it in 20 because it was dry in 20. Well, we 2.5 paddocks that were reseeded in 21. That it didn't come into its prime then for another while, so it would have grown more in 21, is what I'm saying. So that says, why did you have 2.5 paddocks? Well, it's very simple. We cut back our amount of paddocks. We used to have a 24-hour rotation. Now we have a 36-hour rotation, which means we're only pinching our cows twice every 3 days instead of once every 24 hours. So that's just the way a paddock broke down when the fences were changed. So, and we still have the paddock now. It threw a strip wire across the rest of it, and when it got going down to clover, just took it down and away it went. There's no big deal, nothing magical about it.
And have you you just mentioned clover there? Have you much clover on the farm now, or what way are you working on that? Or
we'd have about 20% of clover now on the farm. I think that's been reseeded, and we'll probably try and do another couple of paddocks now this year. You talk about John Douglas. Ned was here for a good while, and then they brought John Douglas in. And look, it keeps all of our arses and gear a little bit and keeps us focused with whatever's new or whatever's coming. And we'll try and get another couple of paddocks reseeded now this year. Again, we'll watch the weather and what things are. And we did a bit of oversowing as well, which I thought that would make a bit of a hands out. Ned assured us when he was here, and John, that we hadn't. I was skeptical, but it came all right. What would I do different with that? I would sow it earlier. I would have all my ducks lined up in a row better. There's too much of a gap between the time the cows graze, and we got the fella in to sow it, and we got the slurry on it. So I would try and have all them ducks lined up, much better and much quicker. But the bottom line is, it did establish, and it's there in the field we see now.
And you did, before the webinar started, Eugene, you said that you had a reduction in chemical nitrogen. Just maybe if you go through that there.
Yeah. Okay. In 21, we used 186 kilos of chemical nitrogen, and last year we used 136. That's a reduction of 50 kilos. We will put some of that down to not have spread nitrogen in July and August in the dry time, and some of it is attributed to clover swards, which we didn't need to spread nitrogen on as the year went on. So there was a bit of both, probably saving of 25 kilos in the dry time and saving 25 kilos on the nitrogen on the clover sward as well. And we're happy to have the clover swards. I don't know if you want a whole farm with clover in it, but it's a different way of farming, and you just have to watch when the clover is growing and go in with the strip wire and make sure the cows don't have. We haven't had a problem because we're focused on it. They don't get in to gorge on the clover. They go in and they get a strip first of all, and then we can lift the wire and let them go on to do. But I got a great lesson. Christy Watson retired at Christmas there, and he was our beef advisor for years, and I damaged my leg a good few years ago and was on a farm walking. Kids were small at the time. Christy was able to inform us that you could grow about 20% more grass if you if you strip wires and didn't let the cattle graze for more than 2 or 3 days. And of course I went down to Glanby on the way home and bought reels and strip wires. And I was a great fellow with 2 children were putting up the reels and the strip wire. But we've very quickly seen the benefits of doing that and allocating grass, and we've learned since then.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
Just if you've clover in that, it just needs a bit of different management.
Thanks very much, Eugene. So I'll open it up there. If anyone wants to throw in a question in the text box there, just throw it in there. Will we have Eugene? You heard it here first. John Douglas said the weather is going to get better next week and to get the barbecues ready. And the baler as well, I suppose. Look, for everyone, I suppose it is a tough time there. It is important to focus on grass, particularly where milk prices is starting to slide a bit there, and to make sure we have our grass quality going right through on peak milk. So just same thing happens every year when the big bang of grass comes and the growth comes. If we're a bit slow to react, it can have an impact on our proteins and our performance going forward. So now's the time to be ready for it. I'd like to thank Eugene for coming in. I've been lucky enough to be out in Eugene's farm a few times. Lovely farm and doing a very good job. Always open to a bit of an argument and a bit of a discussion. And I think the notion of trying to stock your farm to what the farm can grow is very important going forward, because it'll control your costs and allow your cows to deliver what they potentially deliver. Where sometimes and it can be a small, as in your own, Eugene, a small increase above what the farm can grow can have serious impact. So it's just great to see it working on your farm, and if you grow more grass over time, then you can look at putting a few more cows back on it. So with that, I'd like to thank Eugene again, and James Dunn will be back in the hot seat next week, and we will talk to you again. Thanks very much.